everybody? Welcome to another Rainmaker podcast. And we got a very, very interesting gentleman on today. Somebody who I've been following, I think probably since 2019. I think first hopped on the call. And it's so interesting how things can develop and change just with the understanding. It's like, Dan and I were kind of nemesis in the beginning. It's like, who's this Arturo dude talking about he can do all of this for life insurance agents? Probably a scam. And it's like, all right. But cool enough, we met in Miami and we got a chance to have a conversation. That was a really cool moment where it's like, hey, man, we got a chance to have a pleasant moment. And it was like, dude, I love what you're doing now. I'm all in on this too, as I'm, kind of doing some cool stuff, which we'll get into this video. But man, the Hall of Fame, excuse me, Dan Charnady, welcome to the Brand Blueprint.
Appreciate it, dude. Excited to be on here. It is very interesting how we first met kind of through social media. We would never actually met, and then it's like, oh, this guy's using all my tile trackers and everything, and his marketing. And then I did have a massive respect for you. So
for sure, man. Yeah, just being young and scrappy in the beginning. But Jan, let's hop right in, man. Tell me how you even got into the life insurance business in the first place. How did this all begin?
So I was in corporate America out of school, did the whole, hey, let's go to school, graduate, don't know what you're doing. So let's go to grad school, pile in the debt. And then I got a nice corporate job. Got to travel all the time, which is why I did it. And I was all over Australia, lived in Abu Dhabi for a little bit. So I got to do some pretty cool stuff. Then there was a time where I was in Charleston. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I go to my boss, like, dude, like, what's it take to get to your level? Like, I need to know, like, what's this vertical mobility that I got over here? And he goes, well, Dan, if you work really hard for your next, like, 10, 15 years, you can get here too. I'm like, a what? 10, 15 years? Like, not a shot in hell I'm going to be busting my butt for 10, 15 years for someone else. I started just looking at any entry-level sales job that I could do, and knowing that, hey, I might not be the brightest guy when I'm first starting out, but no one's going to freaking outwork me. So I was just looking for something at the beginning, I could trade my time for money. I didn't have money, so I had to trade my time for money. But then also want to be an opportunity where I could then start trading my money for time. So I started back in the end of 2019, 2020, I ended up going full time, and there we are.
Yeah, so funny because John Whitmore always says that that's the day that you get licensed, and then there's the different your actual start date is the days you actually go full time, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I remember I sold my first policy in on my birthday, September 15th in 2019, and I was like, wow, this is real. I helped a lady out, made a couple grand, life's good. So I put my 2 weeks notice in, and whenever I wrap stuff up, I can't just leave like stuff open. So I ended up pretty much going out there the rest of the year. My first month freaking sucked. I'm like, uh-oh, what did I just do? Here we are.
Yeah, for sure. So what was that first like 90 days like as an insurance agent for you?
It sucked. It was fun, but a lot of you just don't know what you don't know, and you don't really know what to expect. And now I would be all day in the office. I'd be the first one in the office, like 7 o'clock, getting all my leads organized. I'd be dialing by 8 o'clock, and then I'd probably make like 500, 600, 700 calls a day, Mondays and Thursdays, my dial days. And then I put 70,000 miles on my car my first year. So I was just driving around. Like, I had no life outside.
70,000?
Oh yeah.
God.
So I was like every morning.
You in Texas? What the heck?
I started in South Carolina, and then an opportunity opened up in Orlando. So I went down to Orlando, and then half of the week I'd go up to Jacksonville and go back and forth to Jacksonville, which is like 2.5 hours just. And the other half of the week I'd go down towards Tampa, Sarasota, and then I'd go all the way down to Port Charlotte. And some of that was like 3.5 hours away. Even when I was in South Carolina, I'd be out of my house at 7 or 6:37 in the morning for my first appointment at 8 o'clock, and it was typically like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, depending on where I was going. I loved, this was when it was all face to face. I loved running like in the middle of nowhere, where people typically aren't going, and I found people are generally nicer out in the country. Their costs are a little lower. So I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go way out here in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna spend all day over there. And if I got no shirt over there, I'm driving in the middle of some beautiful country with the windows down, listening to some music. Life's good.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's very interesting because I remember like getting started in 2018, And that was kind of where I was kind of a little ahead of the curve, because it was have some respect for yourself, go in the home, right? Not really doing telesales. And it wasn't even that it was that telesales wasn't the thing to do. It wasn't accepted for the most part, right? So it was kind of this transition. Then, it's like this little thing happened, right, called C19, where it's like, well, probably gonna have to, if I'm gonna make some money, going into somebody's house right now, especially if you're selling final expense, the elderly were the most acceptable, so they weren't even letting you in. It's like, okay, well, can I do a phone call? Can I do Zoom or something like that? So we had to pivot. So can you talk about that transition for you? Because you were a full-time in the field
Yeah.
person.
So,
How did you make the transition into telesales?
So I was living in Florida when that happened, and to be honest, you really didn't even know COVID was happening. So I was still doing.
Florida was wide open. Yeah,
I remember
I was
Jersey.
there in March. We were on the boat, and it was wide open too.
Yeah, the bars were open. You just have to drink outside or you eat outside, and so it was like nice and simple. I came back to Jersey, and I was like, whoa, this is depressing. But anyway, that's here nor there. So I didn't really have to learn like that during COVID, because in Florida it was pretty much wide open. So I still went mostly face to face. But it was back in, I think it was October, right after COVID. I love traveling. Like, I'm a very big travel guy. Like, I just got back from this year so far. I've been in Colombia a couple of times, ski trip in Switzerland. I just got back from a trip in the Philippines for 3 weeks. I love traveling. And it was getting to a spot where I had to be like, I'm sacrificing now. It's like 2.5 years later. I'm sacrificing everything I love doing for $1. So I'm like, I have to find a way that I can make them both work. I have to be able to travel because that's what I love doing. And I have to be able to make money and help people. And so I got a one-way ticket down to Colombia at the time in Medellin. And I was like, hey, well, I got a one-way ticket. I got a couple dollars left, and I got to effing make this sucker work. So for a while, I was doing all phone calls, pretty much closing, working on like doing one-call closes. Sometimes I'd be Zoom. Most of it was just going to be over the phone with final expense or mortgage protection.
Right.
And then the following June, I started getting into more of the advanced market space. And I love how money works. I love real estate. I love buying property. I love fixing up property and seeing what we can do. For me, money's like a game of Monopoly. I would always like wake up when I was a kid, like 5 o'clock, wake up my mom to go play Monopoly. She's like, what the F are you doing? Like, what kind of son did I just have? And for me, like the IUL space is kind of fits into that. I remember my first paycheck I ever got in my corporate job, Arturo. I was like, wow, I'm doing really well. And then I go like line by line down. I'm like, where the F did all my money go?
Right.
Like, uncle would help me out with, yeah, I know. I was like, what the F? Like, making a good salary, but like, geez. My uncle goes, Dan, don't worry. You're going to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out how not to pay that.
Mm-hmm.
And the IULs kind of falls into a nice bracket for me because it's tax-free and it's still ways to build wealth. I'm able to help plan. So then I got into that. So I guess, that didn't really answer the question. The transition sucked at the beginning. I was getting no-showed up the wazoo. I had to book a lot of extra appointments to do the same thing. So wasn't really working too well for me, whether I just didn't have a system in place or it was me, something I was doing. And then once I got into the IUL space, started using branding, that's when stuff started getting a lot of fun. Now I can do it literally from anywhere in the world. Like last year, I sold 400 grand, mostly from Argentina and Colombia. By June, got my 400, went to Italy for a couple months, hung out, sold a couple policies over there. And but once I figured out how to do the IUL side, it got a lot of fun once we figure out how to do the media, social media or Facebook advertising, different types of advertising. That's when it started getting a lot of fun and realized, hey, I can have both. As an entrepreneur, a lot of people say you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I don't really understand that saying, but as an entrepreneur, your goal is to do just that. If you're not trying to have your cake and eat it too, like what the F are you doing? Like that's the point of creating the lifestyle that you want. And so that's for me is a big part of it. And getting into what I realized that the more specialized you get, the easier it is to do it anywhere, the more niche you get. And when I say anywhere, just like over Zoom or creating your brand. I saw someone post the other day, so I'm probably rambling on here. It's coming off me too. But someone said the barrier to entry is very low in insurance. The barrier to be an expert is very high. Learn how to be an expert and you'll set yourself well apart from all the other people trying to do the same thing. And that kind of hit home because everyone, at the barrier to entry, you get your license, you either knock on some doors of people to try to get appointments, or you call up some leads, friends and family. The barrier is so low, a couple $100 and boom, you got your license. But to actually become an expert in the field and what you do, that barrier doesn't need to be high, but it is high.
Yeah.
Become the
you know
expert.
what's interesting about that is because there's a couple shifts that you had to make that life insurance agents who have been doing this for 20 years still haven't made that shift. The first shift is moving with the times, where, in person to doing telesales. Second one is being able to have time and location freedom to do this business that we love from anywhere in the world. And then the third one, what you said, is starting to focus on the branding, the media, the Facebook ads, right? Building a personal brand and how powerful social media actually is. And then number 4, which I thought was even more important, is going from a generalist to a specialist, right? And you hear this all the time. The riches are in the niches, but most insurance agents think that you're giving up all of this pie by focusing on one niche. But a man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. And if you're talking online to everyone, you're talking to no one. So let's take one little step back. When did you start learning, or how did you learn about like Facebook ads to start generate your own leads for your own self? Like, when did you even think like, okay, I want to even try to attempt to get this to work for me?
So I tried back in the final expense day when I was like a brand new agent. I was like 6 months in. I'm like, let me try these final expense things. I'm gonna give this shit a shot. And it worked a little bit, but then you don't realize, even if I could have saved $1,000 on my own leads, I got to now deal with all the little tiny crap that happens if stuff stops working or leads are, it's on me. And then I realized that my opportunity cost, I probably lost myself $10,000 if I just paid for the leads. I didn't like them as much. It's a lot less time and stress off my head. I could be out there dialing, door knocking at the time. But so I ended up stopping that when I was fairly new. And then we started doing a lot on social media. We had a boatload of leads coming in, probably 20 or 30 a day. And that was so simple to do that. These people were like, yep, I'm ready. Where do I sign? Like, it wasn't even a sale. I had one of my staff, one agent, who became an agent his first year. He did $700,000.
Wow.
Premium. Never sold a day in his life.
That's crazy.
Now he was the number 3 IUL producer in the entire company. And he was my staff, my cousin, my business partner, but beforehand working with me on the back end.
Was that this year?
Yeah.
Okay, I was there, and so there was 3 people that was on stage. That was like, it was one gentleman, a young lady, and then another guy. I think with braids that I remember. So I remember because I was there this year. That was incredible.
It was hilarious. Remember, so Sean brought us all down to Boca. Like my little agent, the agency at the time, brought us down there. And he goes to John, like, you're so smart. Why aren't you selling? He goes, well, dude, I'm doing all this on the back end. Like, go sell. And so Sean was getting mad at John. But anyway, fast forward a couple of years. John walks across stage as he goes to shake Sean's hand. He goes, not bad for an admin, hey?
Right. That's hilarious, man. Yeah.
Anyway, we're looking at that, but it's unpredictable what's going to come in. We never know how many leads are going to come in. We can't just say, hey, post a viral video. It doesn't work that way. So we got to a spot where, hey, now we had like 30 agents. We're doing like $800,000 a month in target premium, mostly increasing death benefits. So there's a lot of business getting put on the books. And we just got to a spot that said, hey, if we want to grow this, or if we want to safeguard our business, we got to find another way to bring in data. Because right now it's up and down. When waves come, we're working, but we just don't know when the waves are. We need some more stability and some predictability in our business. So then started back in, I guess it's now just about a year and a half ago, November, 2 Novembers ago. So just over a year and 4 months-ish, 5 months. I started running Facebook ads for myself because I needed more business to write. I wanted to crush it. So that's when we really started learning it. Hired some media companies along the way. Some worked, some didn't, and now we do it all in house. Yeah,
for sure. So for the agent that's kind of looking at this and they're like, I kind of want to do this. What impact has this transition with you bringing things in house, self-generating your own hot leads and building a personal brand? Looking at your social, if somebody goes to Dan's page, you can see he's a specialist posting reels about IULs, making money, taxes.
I'm not even that good at it. But it's just
Right. That's the point. It's just like doing it. It's so powerful for your business, right? To do 400,000, someone else do 700 and be able to have 30 qualified people coming in the door that you don't really got to chase down. You don't got to convince. You don't got to beg for the policy. Like what type of impact has that had on your business? More importantly, on your bottom line from a profitability standpoint.
Oh, dude, it's nuts. It's absolutely insane. It takes a lot of work to get it going. So for a period of time, you're not seeing a return on your investment. We were posting for 3-4 months and not getting any traction at all. And that's when we're like, do we continue doing this or do we keep posting? Or what trends? Like, what do we need to learn to do that? So building a brand's harder than just posting. Like, if you really start getting into it, you got to learn different trends that might be happening, how to start presenting yourself. The biggest thing is just getting out there. I look like a freaking fool. If you go to my social media, we repost a lot of stuff. You'll see I look like a freaking idiot. Like making a fool out of myself most of the time, and funny hats or just saying weird stuff. But it's still good information. But I was trying to do anything I could to capture people's attention. How do I get your attention in the first 2 seconds? Because Arturo, if I don't have your attention in the first second, you're gone. You're not liking it. You're not viewing it. If people aren't viewing it for a long period of time, it's not going to show people. But what it's done to our bottom line, and really, I'm a big proponent of work-life balance. What it's done to our work-life balance, not just myself, it was 2 jobs at the same time. So if anyone's on here and you're like, hey, I want to get into it, just understand you're signing up for a second job. It's not just as simple as just posting. You have to be very consistent with it. If you're making your own content, you got to script it out. You got to record it, or you got to outsource. Hey, now I have the recording, send it over to someone. Then you got to train someone how to actually make it, post it. So it is a little bit, it's hard. It's not just build a brand, just like it's not just sell insurance. So if anyone's on here, like, yes, it's powerful. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Just understand what you're actually signing up for if that's a route that you want to take. It kind of like there's an analogy, especially for insurance agents, that, if you're going to come on board here, I'm like, hey, Megan, what was your last job? She was bartender. Got it, cool. How long did it take you to get good at what you're doing? About 4 months. What were your drinks like in the first month? They sucked. Got it. And I'm assuming as in month 2, 3, and 4 came along, your tips probably started getting a bit bigger, but your drinks were better. Fair? 100%. Same thing over here. At the very beginning, expect to suck.
It's suck. Yes.
Just understand. And if with the good upline, I tell my agents, hey, go make a freaking mess. I'm not going to let you screw over a client. It's going to be impossible. I see all your business that goes through it. Understand what's going on. Have the confidence. Go out there, make a mess, clean up, and I'm a glorified cleaner. No, I'm here to help you clean up after the fact, and boom, we're not going to make that again. Nice, easy switch. But yeah, the work-life balance for me, Arturo, is massive. Being able to work where I want, I guess the whole virtual thing too, just run where you want it. I like to use what's called a goal-based schedule. So if I can get, when I was in the field, if I could get my 30 appointments in by Wednesday, I'm chilling on the beach in some foreign country and exploring the mountains from Thursday to Sunday. That's it. My goals were done. But if it took me to Friday, it took me to Friday. It took me to Saturday. It took me to Saturday. So I like to say I'm a very lazy person because I don't want to be working all the time. I like it, but I want to go enjoy. I want to go see some villages in the middle of nowhere. I want to go hang out with people, learn different cultures. I just love that. For me, it's very powerful. And in order to do that, I got to be very productive. It's like when you're working, are you actually working or are you just working?
Right, for sure. Yeah, and that makes sense. So writing 400,000 with your own system that you have control of. And I always say this, the leads are the lifeblood of the business. And so the person who controls the leads pretty much controls everything, because if you don't have a predictable process to generate qualified leads and appointments, right? That part of your business, you don't really have a system in your business to do that. So now that you have that, you're able to have it proven, putting in the hard work on both ends, right? Like you said, writing what you're doing. So when you're working, and then building the system for yourself to be able to write over 400,000, right? Like last year, how many countries did you go to and still be able to put up those numbers?
Panama, Argentina, Colombia, Italy. I think 6 or 7. I lived in them for a couple months or a month or so. Yeah,
that's incredible. So like 6 months out of the year, you were abroad.
I was probably abroad for 10 months out of the year.
10 months, right?
Right.
I want your life. You know what I mean? So it's absolutely amazing. So to be able to do that. And so one of the things I want to kind of highlight is yeah, you don't need to become a digital marketer, but as things are shifting, right? The way that we can get leads in our business and industry has changed a little bit. So now, even now, right? Like that $600 million is going to Facebook advertising. So you're gonna have to be able to compete on value as opposed to price, which is why you need to become an expert so that the people can see you out as a trusted advisor. And niching down and being seen as an expert as a generalist allows you to establish your presence with some type of personal brand so that you stand out from all the other agents and all the other things that are kind of going out there. We're amidst the sea of noise at this point, right? And there has to be something that people can kind of connect or relate with you because they've seen you, right? So now they say, oh, Dan, yeah, I see you. You're talking about money, the funny hats, the videos, traveling. You're the traveling agent that's been to 6 countries in over 10 months in 2023. I'll follow all your stuff. Whenever you get on a call with somebody and they said that they've seen some of your stuff, right? You kind of know there's probably going to be a good outcome from some of the calls, which is super cool.
Yeah,
so,
really powerful.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man. I always talk about this one last thing. When you first started, did you have this kind of fear or worry about people judging you or how you looked, like the fear of posting? Did you ever have a moment where you had to kind of get over that?
Oh, I was terrified. I still hate it. Like if I had my shot, I would not. I didn't have Instagram or social media or anything. I had like a MySpace way back in the day, and I think I had like a Nickelback theme song. So that's kind of embarrassing, but I'd be like Nickelback. But yeah, I didn't have social media until after I graduated grad school. I only started getting it once I got into this and I saw the power that it could have. I still don't like getting in front of the camera. Like I don't enjoy it, but I love the outcome of it. So sometimes you don't gotta like the whole That's a lie. You do have to like the journey. The guy that likes the journey is going to go way further than the person that just loves the destination. So yes, I like the process of it. I like the end result a lot. It is fun making the videos, and I get it's very rewarding. And for me, it always keeps me on my toes. I gotta know like what's some other creators doing? What's other stuff being posted? I learned a bunch by getting on there. I would not have become an expert in the IULs if I didn't follow a bunch of other people. Is that right? Or wow, you can do this? And I would have to go challenge myself. And is that right? Or can you do this? No, you can't. Oh, got it. Well, I'm going to put that one over here in this bank. I'm going to put the yes, you can over here in this bank of cool stuff. Now, it is part of me that helped me become an expert, but the process of actually getting in front of the camera, I'm not a massive fan of still to this day. And at the very beginning, yes, I was very worried about what people were doing. At the end, after a couple, it's like, all right, screw it. I don't care. And it's a funny saying that always sticks with me. I forget who said it. Like in your 20s, all you can do is care what other people think of you. When you're in your 30s, you start realizing maybe a couple people. In your 40s and 50s, you realize no one gives two shits. So,
nobody. That's right.
Screw it. Like go be you. Go be who Arturo is. Go be who Dan is. Like be authentic. Get out there, and the right people will gravitate towards you just for being who you are. So yes, but just like anything, it's weird starting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely unnatural to just look at a camera lens with nobody else and talk like you're talking to someone, right? It's definitely not a natural thing. So that part, I agree with you.
Even yesterday, my friend asked me to make, or my friend's sister asked me to make like a little like happy birthday for a surprise thing that they're putting together, and I even had to do that 3-4 times over. I'm like, oh, that's not. I forgot how to talk. Like, what the heck? It's uncomfortable, but get
for sure, 100%. Because I had like my cameras are here. I had to record some reels yesterday, so I recorded 15 of them, and the whole time, you know how it is, scripting out and kind of doing it. It was kind of a racket. And when I got done, I'm like, I'm done. It's like I know what this is going to end up resulting into tens of thousands of bucks. So obviously, for shooting something that's 30 to 60 seconds is going to make you $1,000. It's like, well, I mean, that's the ultimate sign of leverage, right? And in that, what people don't realize is the more content that someone consumes of you, their skepticism and how much they don't trust you just slowly starts to go down, and the trust starts to go up. So, and it's an easy way to have a conversation and persuade people without having a conversation, which we call it persuasion. So that when people hop on the call, they know three things. They kind of know your backstory. They know and educated on the mechanism that you offer, and then they can kind of understand some of the results and your expertise that you can share with them, so that you don't have to get on the call and try to convince people. And that's what the power of social media does, because it's all impressions. You're serving up so many impressions to people. And the rule of thumb is for every 1 hour content online that somebody consumes of yours, that's worth about $1,000. So again, if you want to give yourself a raise, that's the purpose of posting content.
So I think I might have downplayed, Arturo, how much social media has changed my life. It's been like insane what it has done here in just over probably a year and a half. What it's done. I had bought part of an apartment complex in New York State, bought a couple houses in South Carolina, Florida, buying another one in Pennsylvania potentially this weekend. And a lot of that comes from the power of social media, becoming an expert, always posting on there, being able to pick up and travel to go wherever I want to. So I sometimes, and I credit a lot of that to social media stuff, building the brand. So sometimes once you get to the destination, you forgot where you were when you first started.
Sure.
It's so easy to forget. It's like looking back, yes, I think I downplayed the power that social media can have. And it took a while at the very beginning. It took like 6 months to really kind of start getting the gears turning. And then once they were turning, it worked out really well. Then it slowed down a whole lot.
Right, for sure.
Phase.
Yeah, for sure. But if you just look at even the business model that you're in, like you're a business owner inside of a business. There was a personal brand that was there. He had great work ethic as a salesperson and great leadership. There was a YouTube channel with podcasts on it. Those things, majority, not all of it, was geared from social media, getting that content and that brand in front of people like you. I'm sure you watched a bunch of those.
And I love it. It's 100% correct.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Dan, man, this has been a great podcast. Thank you for spending this time with me. If somebody watches this, because this is going to go out to hundreds of thousands of life insurance agents, somebody's like, all right, they're over here, or maybe they're interested in getting in the business. They're like, I like the way Dan is running this business. Ideally, I want to get to that level, but I need to start somewhere, and I don't really know where to get started or what to do about my situation. Where can people reach out to you if they like your story and they want to learn more about you and what you're doing?
100%. So probably one of the best places would be Instagram. So if you just search my name by D Chernati, so DCHERNATI, add me on there. I always post stuff about money, what's going on in my life, where I'm at. It's fun. So reach me there, or you can also shoot me a text at 973-903-0137, and just shoot me a text before you call, so that way I have the number and I know it's not a spam call.
For sure. Well, Dan, thanks again for being on the Brand Blueprint, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.